I'm from Malaysia, so when I was 18, I got a scholarship to go to Singapore. So in Singapore, I was studying in a college, like one of the top colleges in Singapore, and then after that I went to the National University of Singapore. So at that time I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I did law, because I thought law is a very flexible degree. And from there, I was doing a lot of, I was still doing a lot of photography in the university, and then I was also exploring moving image, because at that time I was also volunteering with the Singapore International Photography Film Festival. So at the Singapore International Film Festival, I was exposed to a lot of world cinema. So from there, I think it's like a new world that opened for me. You know, it's like it's the first time you enter something new. It's like a new religion. So from there, I guess my interest in cinema grew more. And then I decided to, after the university, I joined the national broadcaster in Singapore, this MediaCorp. So I was there for about 2 years plus, and then I got another bursary, some kind of scholarship to study cinematography. And then from there, I was just doing work as an artist, as an individual, making work and exploring the cinema in a more elaborate way. I start with photography as a way to observe the things around me. So my first images were about animals, they were about my pets. So as I grew older, I thought humans are also very interesting, because humans have a certain layer, they wear masks.
Joe, dobbiamo comprare più acqua. I bambini ne hanno usato tanto e abbiamo bisogno di più.
Sembra un tale spreco usare l'acqua solo perché i bambini e i tuoi genitori si possano pulire il sedere. Non possono usare la carta igienica.
Ma cerca di capire, amore, non posso chiedere loro per usare la carta igienica. Hanno sempre usato l'acqua per lavarsi.
Ma non possono usare l'acqua del bagno per lavarsi il sedere dopo che hanno fatto il bagno, no?
Non so. Fammi parlare con loro e vediamo.
I mean, animals, they don't have masks, you know, if they are hungry, they come to you. But human, we have different masks for different people. So we wear a mask to our parents, to our friends, to our lovers, to our teachers. We have different masks. So I think that makes it more interesting for me when I wanted to explore cinema and to look at this situation. And I think the other idea is also about memory. I think the thing that focuses what makes us different than human is also about memory. And this aspect, I think and it's also a certain way where we deal about the past and the present. I mean, and that also, this situation determines the future. So, so like how it leads, I think from documentary, I start with just observation. And then when I move into fiction, I found that actually there's no really difference between, for me there's no difference between documentary or fiction. For me, they are just films. So the main thing is that whether they are good films or they are not so good films. It's whether the story works or the story don't quite work. Yeah. So I think in documentary you also have a certain level of fiction in documentary. So and sometimes in fiction films, I mean, you also have something that is very, very real. So when I make my work, there is really no difference. So sometimes it's difficult for I think for people, they want to categorize. I mean, we are always comfortable with categories. So when they see my work, sometimes they're not so sure whether, is this a documentary filmmaker or is this a fiction filmmaker? But then I do both, and for me, there's no difference. So for me, I think my influence has always been more like European and East Asian cinema. So like Ozu and Ho Xiaoxian, Edward Young. So, and in Europe is Andrei Tarkovsky, you have Fassbinder. So these are the people that becomes my spiritual mentor. I mean, because I don't meet them, but they are, you know, like through the work you form a certain connection. And I think because in Singapore we don't have very strong tradition. I mean, there is a history of filmmaking, but at some point there was a gap of 15 to 20 years where there's no films were made in Singapore. So so when for the younger generation, when we start to make films, we don't have someone to look up to. So our focus, we always look up to somebody from the outside. And I guess that is how in Singapore we also develop the cinema. It's a lot, the influence from the outside is very strong. Yeah, especially Japanese cinema, Taiwanese cinema, Hong Kong cinema. And also but right now in Singapore is mostly Hollywood films. I mean, if you look at the commercial theaters, it's like 95% they are films from Hollywood. And then so for like my kind of work, I've already decided that the commercial circuit is really not a place that for my films, because you know where you stand, and then so for me, I'm happy to do what I want to do, and for me it's a way to understand life. I guess for me, when I go into cinema, is basically I wanted to understand more how we live as humans. I mean, it's the human condition. Yeah.